Trading in the stocks. We have, as you know, we are the people who look for one single digit stocks, and so here we are doing it for Lloyd Steel, this video. So amount investment and quantity depends upon your risk you like to take. Now what we see usually the trader does, like this July 18 2019, the traders they buy it at 0.53 paise and they sell it on 0.54 paise the next day. So that gives them a profit of 1 paise in a single day. So the amount into 10,000 quantity is 100 rupees profit. So same way on the 19th, the closing price thereabout comes the same to 0.52. Again, it opens on 23rd, that is 54. They make 2 paise profit. So the profit in amount with 10,000 multiplied is 200. So this is how they keep on doing the trade. Closing price they buy, on the high next day they sell, and they keep on making profits. At the same time, it's not only profits, there is loss also to it. At certain days, you see the closing price was 55 and they had to sell, the high was just 54, so they got minus 100. So no doubt we go to see down more as it continues. It is someday they made 100 rupees, someday they made 500 rupees, someday 300, 200, someday none. So you need to remember that you need to close the position on the high. So if you don't make a profit there, it's no issues. But keep your money liquidity handy for the next trade. So in this case, we see many people keep on making their profits as days go by, but some days you will find below that they have made losses too. We will see that in some time. So here is it. This trade went negative for the trader. The closing price was 70.73. The next day was 0.70 on the high. So they lost 3 paisa there. So it's minus 300 on 10,000 quantity. So no doubt we see the records for 1 year now. They have made losses, they made profit, but end of it, they have earned 24,300. That's a good return. Don't you think so? Your liquidity is free. At the same time, you cut your losses and make daily profits. But end of day, after a year, when you see your account, you should be into profit. This is one thing which we would like to share with you guys. But if you still have any doubts or queries, you can always email us or you could WhatsApp us. Our WhatsApp number is 9833964805. My name is Sachin, signing off. Thank you.